She had asked me like, oh, are we sisters and they just don't want you to tell me? If we were really cousins and you really believe that, why did you think we looked alike?
We need to tell them that I'm adopted. You knew. Technically, we didn't find out. You were...
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna do a story time
on how we found out that we are twins.
Well, Irish twins, but we'll get into that. While we tell this story time, I'm gonna be doing her makeup to turn her into me because I wear makeup and she doesn't.
Like, I know we don't look alike right now, but with makeup we do look the same.
If I had my glasses on,
you look like me. When we were growing up, everyone thought. Oh, wait.
I was gonna get really intense for a second. So we're not gonna say like all the details and stuff because a lot of people are involved in. I'm gonna start with like my side in like the beginning parts, and then we're gonna go into us together and then her by herself, if that makes sense. I don't know, y'all can catch up. We all got split up when we were younger. There was a time that I was living with our mom. My grandma is the one that got guardianship over me like when everything happened, and my grandma is my birth giver's mom. Obviously my grandma wants her daughter to know like her daughter, so she tried to keep me around her, but my mom was a bad person, whatever. That's like a story for another day. So growing up, I always knew that I had sisters. I knew what the oldest one looked like because there was pictures of her everywhere. Didn't know what she looked like. We were in elementary school, so I had found her on Facebook and I was on the computer and I just like looked at her, like the Facebook photo. Her last name was my grandma's brother's last name.
Her grandma, also my biological grandma, is sisters to my adopted dad.
So I was like, obviously we're like family, and I was looking at her pictures and I was like, damn, why does this girl low-key look like me? And me knowing that I had another sister out there, I was kind of just like, man, fuck it, let me ask. I added her on Facebook and she added me back, and then we started like messaging, and I don't know like everything that I said. The only thing I really remember is asking like, oh hey, you should ask if you're adopted. And at that point I didn't tell my grandma.
And she sent that to me. Obviously I was confused, so I went and spoke to my parents and I was like, hey, there's this girl texting me on Facebook saying to ask you guys if I'm adopted, and that's where everything went crazy.
She was obviously adopted still like in the family. After I did that, I ended up telling my grandma, and my grandma was like, why the fuck would you do that? Because before I did that, my grandma was still able to like see her on Facebook and we were able to have somewhat of a connection, but since I like spilled the beans and was like, oh, ask if you're adopted, because at that point I didn't know I wasn't supposed to say anything.
And I also did not know I was adopted either.
Her dad made her block like all of us. Yeah, so she was like MIA again. After she like blocked us and everything, I kind of really didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh, like I guess. I was like, maybe it's not her. And then my grandma ended up like telling me like, it is her, you're not supposed to say anything, and that's she was adopted by her brother, and that it's like a secret. They're not gonna tell her until like she's 18, which is kind of typical for like a lot of people that are adopted. So then my grandma and me ended up like escaping because we were living in Florida.
I was also living in Texas at the time.
Oh yeah, she was living in Texas, the 956, you know what I'm saying? Me and my grandma ended up running away from my mom's house because she was a crazy lunatic. We packed up just the clothes that we had on our back and like some of our stuff into suitcases, ran to a airport and got a ticket to Texas. We moved to Houston, getting a house over there, and then that's when Crystal, oh, her name's Crystal, did I say that?
So I just remember being in my kitchen with my dad telling me, hey, you have a cousin that's like your age that wants to add you on Facebook. So I was like, oh, okay. And I got really excited because where I like grew up, I only had one cousin my age. I asked him like a lot of questions. I was like, oh, how old is she? When's her birthday? And blah, blah, blah. After he answered all those questions, I went straight to my room, went on Facebook, and like I had accepted her friend request because I think you had added me. Then we started like talking from there. I remember going with my dad and my sister to Florida to go visit my grandpa. One of the things that my dad had said was like, oh, we're gonna stop in Houston. On our way back, it was like, I think it was like 11 p.m. to be honest, because
y'all came late at night.
We stopped and that's when I remember meeting you for the first time.
Yeah, so she came to our house in Houston, and then I remember her dad like talking to me, but before they even came, just to like remind me, because he told my grandma like, make sure that she doesn't say anything that they're related or whatever. And obviously I want to know my siblings, so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll keep it a secret unless they're gonna make her block me again and then she's gonna fucking disappear. She came and then we hanged out, and then we like to play video games. Even though she's better than me, I fucking suck at video games. Spent like a few summers with us in our house in Houston because I lived in Houston for 3 years, and that's when my grandma, like this whole thing happened like with her job.
I think you need to mention California.
Oh yeah, I fucking forgot. I totally forgot.
Like we went to Houston then California, then you moved to me. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, so we ended up going to California for like a summer with her dad. Oh my god, we had the time of our lives over there. I mean, we should have done more, but we stayed inside a lot. Her dad was working, so we were in his like little apartment and we were just playing video games and stuff.
I remember that was when you told me a lot of crazy stories about how you grew up.
Oh yes, okay, so with them telling me that I can't say anything and like me knowing like our parents and like the whole like background and everything, I was like, obviously when she turns 18 she's gonna want to know our parents and she's gonna want to know like all the details, so I might as well just tell her right now, like in a low-key kind of way. So whenever she turns 18 she kind of had like an idea of like what it was, if that makes sense, because like there would be times where I want to tell her, but at the end of the day it was kind of just like, it's not my place, and I was scared. I mean, we were really young, so I didn't know how she was like gonna react to her parents, because you know there's a lot of people that are adopted and they'll be mean to their parents and they'll be like, you're not my mom. So I was scared. I didn't want her to like do that.
I was a demon child.
Yeah, so she
up.
was a little bad. So I was like, I don't want to tell her and then her say that to her parents. So I kept it a secret, and then obviously we always got like, oh my god, are you guys sisters? And it would be like hella awkward, like.
And I would always be like, no, we're second cousins.
Yeah, and then would be like,
I was
what?
stupid.
Yeah, because we were like raised to think that we were like second cousins. I ended up moving to the valley, and I moved in with her at her house with her mom and her dad, and my grandma ended up coming to after like she sold her house in Houston, and they were kind of scared to let me or like let us move in and stuff, but I had to swear again that I wasn't gonna say anything. First year that I lived here, we didn't go to like the same school, and then the second year we ended up going to the same school, and then that's when it just got worse. Before it was just like the family and then us two that would see us, and then going into like a whole school with like fucking like hundreds of people where all their brains are turning.
Us walking in together.
Yeah, they're all calling bullshit all the time. There was one time that I remember we were in the restroom and she had asked me like, oh, are we sisters and they just don't want you to tell me? I just remember looking at the toilet and like trying to hold in like the laughter, because I was like, she put me on the spot. I'm in the restroom, like she's by the door, like she's about to trap me in here, and she would like ask me without like asking me, but like I couldn't say anything. And so I made her join the dance team.
So she was in Folklorico first, and then I joined with her. We were like obviously going to class together and doing dances together, and everybody was like, you guys have to be sisters, like there's no way. And I'd be like, no, we're second cousins. I really didn't know. I was oblivious to the whole thing, because like obviously I knew one thing and she knew the other. The dance teacher, she would like call me Crystal or call her Alexis, and I was just like, oh dude, like no. So we would just tell everybody that we were cousins, and then when we got deep into the details, like, well, we're second cousins, and that's when their eyebrows would be like, the fuck? Like, what do you mean? So why do you think we looked alike? If we were really cousins and you really believe that, why did you think we looked alike? Like I said, I was really oblivious to the whole thing, so I really didn't know. Like, I believed everything I was told. Well, I remember growing up when I first like started talking to you, and I was like, if we are sisters or whatever, I felt like, oh, we gave you up. That's what I thought happened. And I was like, oh damn, why did we give her up? Like, damn. That's what I thought.
If y'all would see our parents,
I look nothing like them.
Yeah, they have like dark hair. Oh, and she has siblings. You need to talk about your siblings.
Oh yeah, so I have an older brother and an older sister. I grew up with them. My sister's 11 years older than me, and my brother's 9. Am I an accident or what? Just get into like the whole part where I was like trying to find out why my scar, because that's how I found out.
Oh yeah.
One thing is that when I was growing up, I had this scar on my back, and I've always like wondered why. And I would always ask everybody, like my mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother, and be like, hey, what is this scar? I don't know what it is. Like, can you please tell me? I would always get a different story from everybody, or I would just not get an answer at all, because obviously like they didn't want to tell me where I got it, because it meant something to my past. One time specifically, I was in my senior year of high school, and I was already 18. I was sitting down with my mom, and I was like, no, I really want to know where this scar came from, because on like also growing up with it, and like also being in sports and like changing in the locker room, people would be like, what's that scar? Like what happened? I'd be like, I don't know, and I never had a reason why, and I wanted to know what happened. My mom is really shy. She was really like hesitant in the conversation. She was like, no. So then the next thing I did was I texted both my sister and my brother. I think my brother replied right away, I'm not sure, and he said, no, I don't know, ask mom. And I'd be like, she's not telling me, I'm asking you. And then the next day at school, that's when my sister responded to me while I was in class, and she said, I don't know, ask mom. And I said, no, she's not telling me. So then, okay, whatever, nobody wants to tell me why I have this damn scar. One day in October, I was going to have senior pictures. My mom was like, let's go to the mall so you can get a dress for your senior pictures. So I was like, okay. So then we go, and at that time, I wore a lot of rings on my hands. But we walked into Pandora, and she was like, I want you to pick one out of these 2 rings. And basically, there were 2 rings with 2 hearts on them. And I was like, why? Like, this is so weird. My mom doesn't do that. I guess I'll just get a pinky ring. So I picked one with 2 hearts. I asked her, why did she get me that? Like, I'm so confused. And she's like, I'll tell you later whenever you have food in your belly. After we were done at the mall, she asked what I wanted to eat, and so we went to Freddy's. As soon as I took the first bite, and I was like, so you're gonna tell me why you bought me this ring? And she was like, and like really hesitant. Like I said, my mom is really shy. One of the first things I said was, oh, does somebody have cancer? And she was like, no. And then I said one other thing that I can never remember what I said, and she obviously said no to that. The third thing I asked was, am I adopted? And she said, yes. And I was like, huh? Like, what do you mean? And then so then she kind of gave me like a rundown and like explained everything to me, and that's when she finally answered the reason why I had that scar. So basically, I'm not gonna get into it, but basically the scar came from a gunshot wound while I was in my biological mother's belly. Yeah, I was like, oh damn, so I'm bulletproof, right? And so then after she's telling me like everything, all the details about like what really went down, another thing I did was I texted Alexis and be like, hey, like I just found out like we're sisters, blah blah blah, and like I'm sorry for all the things that you had to go through. And yeah,
so then she found out, and then I came over, and then we talked about things.
Yeah, she gave me more details about like what had happened, and I asked questions. She answered them. Oh yes, that's when she told me we had another sister, and I knew about our younger sister. So I was like, oh okay, I guess I have other sisters elsewhere. And then she told me like, oh, we have an older sister. You got into contact with her, and then we somehow started texting her.
It's because me and her have the same mom and dad, and then our younger sister has a different dad, and then our older sister has a different dad. So whenever I found my older sister, I obviously knew what she looked like, because like I said, there was pictures of that bitch everywhere. I mean, not that bitch, but you know, there was pictures of her everywhere, and I knew her name and everything. So when I found her and I messaged her, she thought I was like lying to her. She's like, how do I know you're real and stuff like that. So I sent her own baby pictures. I was like, girl, this is you and your baby, yes or no. So when I put them in a group chat, they have similar characters. They both like animals. I mean, I like animals too, but not enough to be a vet.
Yeah, we both have like the same interests. I think she wanted to go to veterinary school, but I don't know. I don't think she's doing that right now. But I do. I want to do that, and I'm currently in the process of that. One of the things that people find whenever they find out they're adopted, they're like, oh, do you want to speak to your biological parents? Do you want to get to know them? For me, I really didn't want to, because especially since I knew how my biological mom was due to how Alexis was telling me like how she grew up with her. So I was like, oh, okay, like I'm not really interested in that. And our dad, literally knew nothing about him. I didn't even know his name. I knew my biological mom's name because like I actually have spoken to her before when I thought she was like my aunt or cousin. I don't know what she thought she was to me. Never really wanted to do that. Kind of recently I was kind of like, oh, I guess I'd be open to like opening the doors to people. Like, it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, the door is open if they want to open it, to put their foot in the door, but it's not like, oh my god, I need it right now. And it's not gonna do anything for me. I think it's gonna do more for them. I like how I am as a person, and I am actually grateful that I am one of those people who found out when they were 18, because especially since, like I mentioned earlier, I was like a demon child. I was a brat. I think I would have reacted like really bad to the situation. I was really grateful when they told me, because at that point I was already like settling, and I felt my frontal cortex was developing more.
Frontal cortex?
Yeah.
Frontal lobe. Or I'm stupid.
I think it's cortex. I don't know. So it was developing. Obviously it's not done yet because I'm not that age yet. I think it's 25. Yeah, I'm happy for who I am and all of that.
So I haven't talked to like our birth giver since 2012. I think, yeah, because me and my grandma ran away in the summer of 2012. That was the last time I've ever spoken to her. I tried to talk to her maybe like a year ago. I reached out to her sister, which is our aunt, and was like, hey, like I want to talk to her. And my mom told her sister, no, I don't want to talk to her. She should say whatever she wants to say to me, to the adults that should have told her to speak to me sooner. So she's a Miss Petty Queen. So we haven't talked. It's just like, I already tried, and if you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. That's good for you, I guess. Now that she knows, it took a while, I guess, to like actually call her like my sister. I knew she was my sister in like my head, but I didn't ever physically call her that, and we didn't grow up like that. So when it was finally time where I can actually like call her my sister and stuff like that, it took a while. Now I just say like, oh, my sister's coming into town.
Yeah, it took me a long time too to refer you as my sister.
The same blood and everything, we're nothing alike.
I think we just have the same mannerisms.
What's that word? You see?
Like, we laugh the same.
Oh.
Like, not necessarily talk the same, but we kind of enunciate the same.
Yeah, sometimes I'll be hearing her laughing, but damn, I thought that was me.
She's left-handed, I'm right-handed.
Oh yeah.
She drinks, I don't.
Oh yeah. All her eyes are lighter than mine.
And my hair is lighter too.
She has more straight. Mine's wavy.
And hers is thick, mine is thin.
Well, the camera battery died, and so we're probably like at a different angle. Sorry. Oh yeah, so when we said we were twins, we're Irish.
Irish twins.
Yeah, so she can explain it because she knows. I don't know.
So basically, Irish twins are like, obviously, one, you guys look very similar, and you're very close in age. So Alexis is actually a year older than me.
Like exactly a year and a week older.
A year and a week. Hello. Am I supposed to see the lashes?
When I first wore lashes, I saw them, but then you get used to it. I have an older sister, and then we have a younger sister. I don't know how the oldest one is. How old is she? Do you know?
No.
Our youngest one, she's 18, I think. We're 5 years apart.
I think
she's 19, yeah. And then, so it's 19, 23, 24, and then the oldest one is like 27, I think. 26. So not too much on her lashes, y'all. Oh, I just suck at putting lashes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story. So like I said, I'll probably do a story time about like our mom, or maybe like little stuff about me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a good night, and I hope the bed bugs bite.
Bye.